Welcome to episode 13 of what I call our most sticky series, because you guys love it. Business and Leadership Stories with Sachin Bhandary and me, Hrishi K. Sachin Bhandary is a business story coach and trainer from the Story Co. Now, the Story Co. helps companies, startups, professionals using the power of stories to help them achieve their business goals with speed and ease. They do this via coaching, consulting, and training. And really, the brainchild of this particular series is Sachin. It's very simple. He gives us one nice, sweet business story and then gives us a business leadership or communication tip that we can extract from that particular story. And they're not very highfalutin or very intellectual. They're actually very live, everyday examples. Wonderful to see you. How are you doing?
I'm very good, Rishi. I'm very good. If my wife listens to this and she hears what you just said, that Sachin narrates sweet stories to another man, I don't know how she'll take it, but I think she'll understand that this is a radio show and we're up to just talking.
I believe a friend of yours sent you a video on WhatsApp, and that's how all of this started.
Right.
Because she said Sachin's a business storytelling coach. This might appeal to his better instincts, and it was actually a video by Rajiv Bajaj.
Right.
And this story is called Rajiv Bajaj, Luck and Why Stories Matter.
Yes, the friend who sent this, her name is Gauri Priya Sethuram, runs a very interesting company called Indian Shades, and they are trying to use Indian cultural wisdom to, Bharatnatyam, Yakshagan, all of our art forms to turn that into actionable insights for companies and team building and leadership and all of that. So she's pretty cool. If anybody's interested, should look her up on LinkedIn. Coming back to the story about Rajiv Bajaj. Now, I always had appreciation for Rajiv Bajaj because he does not mince his words. He's very clear, and he also has a very straightforward style of communication, which is appreciable. But this story, I wasn't aware of it till the time Gauri sent this video to me. He did an interview with Outlook Business, much longer interview, but one small segment, he talks about his great-grandfather, Jamnalal Bajaj, and how the entire Bajaj family or Bajaj group transpired. Now, I'm sure a lot of us do not know that Jamnalal Bajaj wasn't born into wealth. In fact, he was born to a very poor family somewhere in Rajasthan. And when Rajiv Bajaj went to shoot a documentary, about his great-grandfather, about Jamnalal Bajaj, is when he spent time at his native village where he was born, where Jamnalal Bajaj was born. And there was a well at the village, and at the well, there was a security guard who works with Bajaj Industries in Bombay. He was also there, and Rajiv Bajaj just happened to ask, hey, Satish, I guess that's what his name was, Tum yahan pe kya kar rahe ho? What are you doing here? And he said, sir, I'm your neighbor. I stay next to you in this village. And that was a bit, it induced some curiosity in Rajiv Bajaj. And then he realized that the story that he had heard, that Jamnalal Bajaj was born into this poor family and he was playing out in the sun when he was 3 or 4 years old. Like, it was really hot, but he was playing out in the sun. And this was probably the late 1800s or early 1900s. I can't recall the specific time. And when he was playing out in the sun, a carriage passed by, which was owned, or the person sitting in the carriage was Bajraj Bajaj, who was a wealthy merchant, right? He looked at this kid and for some reason took an affinity to him, saying that this kid who's playing out in the sun is so cute, or I really like this kid. And he went to the family and started having a conversation with his mother and asked, how are you doing? And she said, and he asked, ye bachcha kiska? Who's this? Who does this kid belong to? So as a manner of saying, the mother said, aapka hi hai, which means it's yours, right? Because that's how we speak, right, as Indians. And he said, okay, if it is mine, I'm going to take the kid with me. And she was livid, right? Which mother will not be livid when you're saying that you're going to take her baby away? And she called her husband, and he said, what are you doing? He said that, no, your wife said that this kid is mine, and so I'm taking the kid with me. And that's where the father said that, we believe that a word once given can never be taken back. and because of that, I'm letting you take the kid with you. And Bajraj Bajaj, the merchant, asked, "What should we do? What can I do for you?" He said, "We are not selling the kid, so it's not like you have to pay us money or do something in return. But if you really feel like doing something, there is a lot of problems with water in this locality for this community. Why don't you build a well for us?" That's how the well came about, where the security guard and Rajiv Bajaj were talking to each other. Now, the story is very fascinating. But what's even more fascinating, Rishi, is that Rajiv Bajaj then goes on to say, he's narrated the entire story. He then goes on to say that that's when I realized that, you know, if destiny had played a different trick, Satish, who was a watchman at Bajaj Industries, probably could have been the chairman of Bajaj Auto, and I might as well have been the watchman, because if his great grandfather was playing out in the sun that day and not mine, our fate would have turned tables. And that's when I realized the power of luck. So while hard work, ingenuity, being smart, etc., all of these things are important, but you are given a framework in life, and that framework is your luck. Within that, how you perform, of course, depends on you. But we should never forget that whatever we, things like this is mine, I've created this, all of that means nothing, because you forget the fact that it's your luck which brought you here in the first place. So yeah, I'm still moved when I listen to this story and
Yeah, and
narrate it myself.
that of course is the human side of that particular story,
Right.
which is, hey, thank your lucky stars. Lots of it is circumstance and luck. But however, there's a very vital business leadership communication lesson that we can learn from Rajiv Bajaj and his particular story about his great grandfather. And
Right.
handhold us through that, please.
Now, people who are in positions of leadership, and I don't mean to say leadership that you have to be the chairman of Bajaj Auto or something like that. Even if you're leading a team, even if you're leading a small team of two people, even in your own position, as leaders, we have access to certain things that people below us or people who are lower down the hierarchy do not have. And so it is the access to the past of the company, or how things happened in the past, access to the present, and also access to the future in terms of what is it that we want to achieve. Not just that, you also have, in a way, the geographical access, that as a leader, let's say you are a team head at a client agency, at a PR agency or at a media agency, you probably visit more clients than your juniors do. So you go to multiple offices. You also probably go and visit, if you're from Bombay, you visit a Bangalore office or a Delhi office and all of that, right? So you have more access than people who are lower down the pecking order or who are working in your team. As a leader, it is your responsibility to be able to take things from different access points that you have and narrate their stories so that people get a sense of belonging with each other. So if I go to the Bangalore office and I have some interesting stories to share about our colleagues there, that's how people in the Bombay office will feel some kind of connection with them, because otherwise, how are they going to know anything about folks who work in Bangalore? Similarly, how are they going to feel connection with the past of the company? Now, we look at a CEO today and we say that, hey, you know what, he's just sitting on top of the pedestal, shouting orders at us. But maybe a lot of us do not realize that this CEO was once an executive who worked really hard to bring this company to the level that it is today. Somebody needs to narrate that story so that younger folks get access to that. So I think the one big lesson, in my opinion, is that as leaders, you need to, it's your responsibility, moral responsibility, to narrate stories from different places and different times, because your organization, your people need that from you. And I think one of the biggest traits of a leader is that he or she has to be a very good storyteller.
Sachin Bhandary writes the Win with Stories newsletter. It's available on LinkedIn. Makes for fascinating reading. Please read it and share it with your friends and family. Also, should you want to hire his services to come and talk to your company, motivate the sales, marketing force, or any other department, the HR, via his stories, please reach out to him. What are your coordinates, Sachin?
Thanks for that, Rishi. Yes, I write on LinkedIn 5 days a week, communication storytelling tips, sometimes just an interesting story with a message. So people can reach out to me by looking for Sachin Bhandary on LinkedIn. Sachin is easy. Bhandary is Bhandary, not I. And on my profile there's a link which says get in touch or stay in touch. Just click that and you can either follow the newsletter or book my time. Yes. And like I always say, I'm approachable.
Lovely. I'm going to see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rishi. Look forward.
94.3 Radio 1.